The alien market was loud and full of smoke. Strange creatures shouted, bargained, and pushed past one another as lights from hovering drones flashed across the night sky. The air smelled of oil, dust, and fear. On a metal platform at the center stood a group of frightened alien slaves. Some had scales, some had fur, and one stood out, a small alien girl with glowing silver eyes and tangled white hair. Her wrists were tied with glowing bands that pulsed softly as if alive. The auctioneer, a fat alien with a deep voice, shouted, "Next one, the girl from planet Nera. Weak, useless, no training, no skills, starting price $2. The crowd burst into laughter. Some pointed at her, some threw small objects, others shouted rude jokes. The girl didn't react. She just stared ahead, her eyes cold, almost glowing brighter when people laughed. Among the noisy crowd stood a human man named Ryan. He wore a simple brown jacket and looked like a worker or traveler. He had just finished selling old ship parts and was walking past the market when he heard the laughter. He turned his head and saw the girl standing still on the platform, proud even in her chains. Something about her expression stopped him. The auctioneer shouted again, "Come on, $2, anyone? She eats little and obeys sometimes." No one raised a hand. The crowd had already lost interest. The auctioneer sighed and waved his hand. "Fine, $1. 50 cents. Ryan raised his hand slowly. $2. The crowd turned to look at him. A tall alien beside him laughed loudly. $2? You must be crazy, human. She's not worth a drink of water." Ryan didn't answer. He only looked at the girl. Her silver eyes met his for the first time, and for a second it felt like she was looking straight into his mind. The auctioneer smirked. "Sold. To the generous human for $2. As the crowd laughed again, Ryan stepped forward and paid the coins. The chains around the girl's wrists unlocked with a hiss. She stepped down slowly, still staring at him. Her steps were quiet but heavy, as if the ground itself feared her. Ryan tried to offer a small smile. "You're free now," he said softly. She tilted her head, her eyes narrowing. "Free? You bought me." Her voice was calm but sharp like glass. Ryan scratched the back of his neck. "Yeah, I guess I did. But I don't plan to keep you as a slave. You can come with me if you want. I have food, shelter." The girl didn't move. Her gaze was cold and distant. Humans always think they can buy everything. But some things should never be bought. The word surprised him. She spoke with confidence, not fear. "Look," Ryan said carefully. "I just didn't want them to hurt you." She looked around at the market, at the laughing people, at the auctioneer counting his coins. Then she looked back at Ryan. Her eyes shimmered faintly. "You'll regret this, human," Ryan frowned. "Why would I regret helping someone?" She didn't answer. Instead, she walked past him toward the exit of the market. Her chains dragged lightly on the ground until they disappeared into dust. Ryan followed her slowly. He didn't know why, but he felt something strange in his chest, a mix of fear and curiosity. Outside, the alien city lights glowed blue and gold. The streets were full of noise and movement. Ryan guided her toward his small ship parked nearby. As they walked, people whispered. Some recognized the girl, some laughed again. $2. Someone shouted. "Hope she can at least clean your ship." Ryan ignored them. The girl said nothing. She just walked beside him, silent as a shadow. When they reached his ship, Ryan opened the door. "You can rest inside." "You look tired." She turned to him slowly. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp and unreadable. "You don't understand what you've done." Ryan looked confused. "I just bought your freedom." "No," she said quietly, stepping inside the ship, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. "You bought your own destruction." The door closed behind her and the ship went silent. Ryan stood outside for a moment, feeling a strange chill run down his spine. The laughter from the market faded away, but her words stayed in his mind. "You'll regret this. Human." As the engines hummed softly and the stars reflected on the ship's silver surface, Ryan realized something. This was no ordinary girl, and whatever secret she carried, it was about to change his life forever. The ship lifted slowly from the alien city, leaving the noisy market and the smell of smoke far behind. Ryan sat in the pilot's seat, hands steady on the controls, while the alien girl sat quietly in the corner behind him. She hadn't said a word since they left. Her silver eyes stared out the window, watching the stars move across the black sky. Ryan tried to speak, hoping to make her feel comfortable. "You must be hungry," he said, turning slightly toward her. "There's some food in the storage box. You can eat if you want." No answer. She didn't even look at him. He sighed and focused on the navigation screen. The stars blurred into streaks as the ship entered faster than light travel. The soft hum of the engines filled the silence. After a few minutes, Ryan tried again. "What's your name?" The girl finally turned her head. Her eyes reflected the blue light from the controls. "Why do you want to know?" she asked in a calm voice. "Because I can't keep calling you hey or girl," Ryan said with a small smile. "I'm Ryan, what should I call you?" She stared at him for a long moment before answering. "Lyra. That's a nice name," Ryan said. "Where are you from, Lyra?" Her eyes darkened a little. "A place that doesn't exist anymore." Ryan stopped asking. The sadness in her voice was deep, like she had lost everything. He turned his attention back to the ship, but the silence between them grew heavy. Hours passed. Outside, the stars glowed brighter, and the ship drifted through quiet space. Ryan leaned back in his chair, thinking about the market, about the laughter, and about the words she said to him. "You'll regret this, human." He didn't understand why she warned him, but something inside told him she wasn't an ordinary alien. Late at night, as Ryan dozed lightly, a strange sound echoed through the ship, a soft whisper, almost like singing, in a language he didn't understand. He opened his eyes. The control lights flickered for a second. "Lyra," he called softly. No answer. He stood up and looked toward the back of the ship. Lyra sat on the floor, her eyes closed, glowing faintly blue. Symbols of light floated in the air around her, spinning slowly like tiny stars. Ryan froze. "What are you doing?" Lyra's eyes opened. The glowing marks vanished in an instant. "You shouldn't have seen that," she said quietly. "What was that?" Ryan asked, his voice shaking a little. "Some kind of magic?" "It's not magic," she said softly. "It's memory." "Memory?" She looked away. "My people used light to store thoughts and power. Those were echoes of my home." Ryan took a step closer, but stopped when she looked at him sharply. "Don't come near," she warned. "It's not safe for you." "I just want to understand," he said. "You can trust me." Her lips curved into a sad smile. "Humans always say that before they betray us." Ryan frowned. "I'm not like those people in the market." She tilted her head. "No, you're different. That's why I don't understand you." The air between them grew quiet again. Lyra stood slowly and walked to the viewing window. The stars reflected in her eyes like tiny flames. "Do you know why they sold me for $2? She asked suddenly. Ryan shook his head. "No." "Because they feared me," she whispered. "They couldn't kill me, so they tried to make me worthless." Ryan stared at her in shock. "Feared you? Why?" Lyra didn't answer right away. Her hands tightened at her sides. "Because I carry something inside me," she said finally, her voice trembling slightly. "Something humans destroyed long ago. If they find me, they'll destroy you too." Ryan's heart beat faster. "Who will?" "The ones who hunt my kind," she said softly. "The ones who think power belongs only to them." Ryan took a deep breath. "Then we'll hide. I'll keep you safe." Lyra turned to look at him, her face half lit by the blue glow of the console. "You can't protect me, human. You can't even protect yourself." Ryan smiled faintly. "Maybe not. But I can try." For a second, something changed in her eyes, something softer, almost human. Then she turned away again, her voice low and cold. "You shouldn't have bought me. Now they'll come for both of us." Outside, a shadow moved across the stars, something large, distant, and fast. The ship's scanner beeped once before going silent again. Ryan didn't notice, but Lyra did. Her eyes flickered silver, and she whispered something under her breath. A word that made the air around her shimmer faintly. The journey had just begun, but already, Ryan felt that danger was following close behind, and the alien girl he bought for $2 was no helpless being. She was something else, something powerful, and maybe something that could change everything. Ryan didn't sleep that night. The memory of the glowing symbols and Lyra's words echoed in his mind. He sat in the pilot's chair, staring at the navigation screen. Every few minutes he glanced at the radar, making sure no one was following them. The stars outside were calm, but something in his chest wasn't. In the small sleeping area behind him, Lyra sat quietly, her eyes closed. Her hands rested on her knees, and faint blue light moved around her fingers like soft mist. She looked peaceful, but Ryan couldn't forget how the same light had filled the room hours earlier. Finally, he turned his chair toward her. "Lyra," he said softly, "I need to know the truth." "Who are you, really?" Her eyes opened slowly. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." "Try me," he replied. Lyra stood and walked closer. Her silver eyes reflected the faint light from the ship's walls. "My people once ruled a world called Nira," she said quietly. "We lived with the light. We shaped it, stored it, spoke through it. But then humans came." Ryan's eyes widened. "Humans?" "Yes," she said. "A human colony fleet came to Nira saying they wanted peace. But they wanted power. They took our light, our knowledge, and when we refused to share everything, they burned our cities. They said we were dangerous." Ryan's heart sank. "I didn't know about that." "Most humans don't," Lyra said bitterly. "History is written by the ones who win." Ryan looked down, ashamed even though he wasn't part of it. "So you escaped?" Lyra nodded. "I was the last daughter of the royal line. My mother hid me before the final attack. She said the light must live on." Her voice trembled slightly, but she kept her chin high. "They hunted me for years. I thought I was safe until the slavers found me." Ryan listened in silence. The sadness in her voice didn't sound like a story. It sounded real. "That's why you said I'd regret buying you," he said quietly. "Because they're still hunting you," she nodded once. "Yes, the hunters never stop. And when they find me, they will destroy anyone near me." Ryan rubbed his forehead. "Then we need to hide somewhere far, somewhere safe." Lyra gave a small, humorless smile. "There's no such place, human. My energy calls to them. The light always finds its way home." At that moment, the ship beeped loudly. A red warning flashed on the screen. "Incoming object detected." Ryan jumped to the console. No. We're in deep space. How did they find us?" Lyra's face turned pale. "They're here." A massive shadow appeared outside, a black ship shaped like a claw moving fast toward them. It fired a beam of red energy that shook Ryan's ship violently. "Hold on," Ryan shouted, gripping the controls. He dodged one blast, then another, but the ship was too small to outrun them. Lyra stood in the middle of the cabin, her eyes glowing bright blue. "Don't move," she said. "What are you doing?" Ryan yelled as alarms blared. She raised her hands, and suddenly the lights in the ship flickered off. A low hum filled the air. Energy rippled through the walls like waves. Ryan felt his hair rise as static filled the cabin. Then through the window he saw something impossible. A ring of light expanded around Lyra, spreading outward like a pulse. The enemy ship's red beam stopped mid-air, frozen, then shattered into glowing dust. The black ship twisted, systems failing before bursting apart in silent fire. Ryan stared, speechless. You destroyed them." Lyra fell to her knees, breathing hard. "No, I stopped them, but others will come." Ryan knelt beside her. "You saved us." She looked up weakly. "Don't thank me. The light doesn't save, it judges." Ryan reached out his hand, helping her stand. "You're not a weapon, Lyra. You're alive. You deserve to be free." She hesitated before taking his hand. Her voice softened. "You talk like no human I've met before." He smiled slightly. "Maybe you haven't met the right ones yet." For a moment, their eyes met. The coldness in her gaze faded a little, replaced by something like trust or confusion. But the moment broke when the radar beeped again. More signals appeared, 3, then 5, coming fast. Lyra looked at the screen and whispered, "The hunters won't stop this time." Ryan gripped the controls, his jaw set. "Then we'll fight." Lyra turned toward him, her silver eyes glowing faintly. "You don't understand what you're standing against, human." "Maybe not," Ryan said, his voice firm. "But I'm standing with you." Outside, the stars burned bright and cold. Behind them, new shadows grew closer. And as the engines roared to life, Ryan realized something powerful. He hadn't just bought an alien girl. He had chosen to protect a secret that could change the fate of worlds. Ryan's ship shook as the alarm lights flashed red across the cabin. The radar screamed with new signals, 3 ships, maybe more, closing in fast from behind. The hunters had found them again. Lyra stood near the window, her glowing eyes fixed on the dark space outside. "They never stop," she whispered, voice steady but low. "They can smell my light." Ryan gripped the controls. "Then we'll make them choke on it." He pulled the ship into a sharp turn, engines roaring as they raced through a field of shattered asteroids. Rocks tumbled in every direction. some the size of houses, others glowing faintly from old impacts. The ship slid between them, metal scraping against stone as explosions flashed behind. The hunters fired again, red beams cutting through space like burning knives. One hit the ship's tail, shaking everything. Sparks flew from the control panel. Shields down to 40%. Ryan shouted. Lyra didn't move. Her hands were glowing faintly again, the same light that had saved them before. "Don't turn around," she said. "Just fly." Ryan's eyes stayed on the screen, but his voice was tense. "What are you doing?" "Calling the light," she said softly. "But it will hurt." Before he could ask, the air inside the cabin grew heavy. The lights dimmed, and small blue lines spread across the walls like veins of energy. Lyra's hair lifted as if wind moved through space itself. Her eyes turned bright white. Outside the window, the nearest hunter ship fired another beam. It hit, but instead of exploding, the beam bent, twisting around the ship like liquid. The energy reversed direction and slammed back into the attacker, tearing it apart. Ryan gasped. I reflected it," Lyra said weakly. Her voice trembled, her knees shaking. "But I can't keep doing it, my power. It's not endless." Ryan looked at her, worry in his eyes. "You don't have to fight them alone." Lyra's expression softened for just a second. "You still don't understand, do you? You can't fight light with metal." Another explosion rocked the ship. 2 hunter ships were still on their tail. Ryan's mind raced. "If we reach the dark zone near the Black Nebula, their sensors won't work," he said quickly. Lyra frowned. "The dark zone? It destroys ships that go too close," Ryan smirked. "Only if you fly wrong." He slammed the throttle forward. The small ship roared ahead, engines screaming as it dove toward the glowing edge of the Black Nebula. The hunters followed close behind. The nebula looked like a storm frozen in time, black clouds spinning with sparks of blue lightning. The air outside seemed to twist light itself. It was beautiful and terrifying. "Brace yourself," Ryan shouted. They entered the edge of the nebula. Static danced across the windows. The radar went crazy, then went blank. The hunters followed blindly, firing beams into the fog. Lyra pressed her hand against the ship's wall. "This place, it's alive," she whispered. "It feels the light inside me." The ship jolted again. Warning lights flashed. "Engines overheating," Ryan yelled. Suddenly a bright spark filled the cabin. Lyra cried out, clutching her chest as blue light burst from her skin. The ship's lights flickered, then stabilized. "What happened?" Ryan shouted. "I gave it energy," she whispered weakly. "Now fly." Ryan's eyes widened. "You powered the ship?" She nodded slowly, breathing hard. "Just for now." Ryan gritted his teeth and pushed the ship forward. Behind them, the hunter ships entered the nebula, and the storm swallowed them. Bolts of energy struck the hunters' hulls, tearing them apart one by one. Explosions lit up the darkness like tiny suns. After a long moment, silence returned. The radar stayed empty. Ryan leaned back, breathing heavily. "We made it." Lyra was pale, her eyes dim. "For now," she whispered. "But the light always leaves a mark. They'll find us again." Ryan turned toward her. "Then we keep moving. We find a place they can't reach." Lyra gave a tired smile. "You really don't give up, do you?" He smiled faintly. "Not when someone's depending on me." She looked at him for a long time. Something in her gaze had changed, less anger, more trust. "You're strange for a human," she said softly. "Maybe I just care too much," he replied. Lyra turned her eyes back to the window, where the dark nebula faded behind them. "Care can be dangerous," she murmured. "It can make you fight even when you shouldn't." Ryan looked at her and said quietly, "Maybe that's what makes us human." Outside, the stars grew brighter again as they escaped the storm. But somewhere far behind them, in the wreckage of the hunter ships, a signal pulsed silently, carrying their location to something far more powerful waiting in the dark. The chase wasn't over. It had only just begun. Ryan's ship drifted quietly through the cold, endless dark. The stars outside looked peaceful again, but the silence inside the cabin was heavy. The last battle had drained everything: fuel, energy, and hope. Ryan sat at the console, watching the flickering engine readings. Across from him, Lyra sat still, her eyes half closed, her silver glow weak like fading moonlight. He turned toward her. "You should rest," he said softly. She shook her head. "Rest won't bring my strength back." The light inside me is wounded. Ryan frowned. Then what do we do? Lyra looked at him, her voice quiet but steady. We hide. Somewhere empty, somewhere forgotten. Ryan nodded and scanned the navigation map. There's a broken moon nearby. No colonies, no signals, no life. We can land there. Lyra hesitated. A dead moon can be dangerous. He smiled faintly. So can living ones. Moments later, the ship descended through a thin, gray atmosphere. The moon's surface stretched endlessly, cracked, cold, covered in dust. Strange crystal rocks glimmered faintly in the dark. Ryan landed near a cliff and powered down the engines. Everything went still. He stood and stretched, exhaustion pressing on him. We'll be safe here for a while, he said. Lyra stepped outside first. The wind was silent and the ground shimmered faintly under her feet. This place remembers light, she whispered. It's old. Like me. Ryan followed, glancing at the sky. You can feel that? She nodded slowly. The light never dies. It only hides. They walked to a small cave for shelter. Inside, Ryan started a low fire with his emergency kit. The soft glow reflected on the stone walls. Lyra sat beside it, her face calm but distant. For a while, they said nothing. The fire crackled softly between them. Finally, Ryan broke the silence. Lyra, I need to know, why didn't you run when you had the chance? You could have escaped after I bought you. Her eyes shimmered faintly. I thought about it, she admitted. But when I looked at you, I felt something different. Most humans look at me with greed or fear. You looked at me like I mattered. Ryan smiled slightly. Everyone matters. Lyra looked down. Not to the ones who destroyed my world. Ryan leaned closer. I'm not them. I can't change what they did, but I can choose what I do now. She studied his face as if searching for a lie, but found none. Her voice softened. Why risk yourself for me, human? You've already seen what follows me. Death, hunters, war. Ryan stared into the fire. Because maybe you deserve someone who doesn't see you as a price tag. Because maybe I'm tired of watching powerful people hurt the ones who can't fight back. Lyra's lips trembled faintly, her guard breaking for the first time. You're strange, Ryan. Strange and kind. He laughed quietly. That's a new one. She smiled, a real one this time, small but bright, but the moment didn't last. Outside, the ground trembled faintly. Ryan looked up. Did you feel that? Lyra's eyes widened. They found us. Ryan jumped to his feet and ran outside. In the distance, faint red lights moved across the sky. The hunters, 3 ships closing fast. He cursed under his breath. We can't fight again, not like this. Lyra stepped beside him, her eyes glowing brighter. You should leave me. If I stay, they'll kill you. Ryan turned sharply. I'm not leaving you. Her voice rose, desperate. You don't understand. I can't control my power forever. The next time I use it, I might burn everything. Then I'll burn with you, Ryan said firmly. But I won't run. For a moment, Lyra just stared at him, shocked. No one had ever said that to her before. Not her people, not even her family. The ships in the distance drew closer. The red lights grew larger. Ryan grabbed his blaster, checked its charge, then looked at her. If this is the end, I want it to mean something. Lyra's voice softened, breaking slightly. You're choosing death. He shook his head. I'm choosing loyalty. A silence fell between them. Then Lyra stepped closer, her voice low. You don't have to protect me, human. Ryan met her gaze. I know, but I want to. She looked into his eyes, human eyes, simple and mortal, and something inside her shifted. For the first time, she felt what her people called the echo of light, a bond born not from power, but from choice. Outside, the hunter ships roared across the sky, breaking the quiet moon's silence. Ryan stood firm. Lyra closed her eyes, light gathering slowly in her palms. If they wanted a fight, they were about to meet more than just an alien girl and a human man. They were about to face something new, something neither of them fully understood yet. Together they would make their stand. The air trembled. The gray sky above the broken moon glowed red as the hunter ships descended through the clouds. Their engines roared like thunder. Dust rose around the small cave where Ryan and Lyra stood, staring into the storm of light and metal coming toward them. Ryan gripped his blaster tightly. His heart pounded, but his voice stayed calm. "They're coming fast. 3 ships, maybe 4. Lyra's silver eyes shimmered faintly. "You can't stop them, Ryan." He turned to her, jaw tight. "Then we make them fight for every inch." She shook her head. "If I fight again, I might lose control. The light inside me, it's growing unstable." Ryan took a deep breath. "Then we use it one last time. Together." Lyra looked at him with surprise, her lips parting slightly. "Together?" He nodded. "You said your light responds to emotion, right? So maybe it's not about control. It's about trust." Her eyes softened, but fear lingered there. "You trust me even now?" Ryan smiled faintly. "I bought you for $2, remember? I'd say I already made my choice." Lyra laughed softly, though it sounded more like pain than joy. "You're a strange man, human." The ground shook again as the first hunter ship landed, crushing the rocks beneath it. Soldiers in dark armor poured out, their red visors glowing. Each carried a weapon that hummed with deadly energy. Ryan crouched behind a stone, firing his blaster. Blue bolts cracked through the air. 2 hunters fell, but more replaced them. Their weapons fired back, shaking the ground. Lyra stood behind him, trembling. Sparks of blue light began to flow from her skin again. "Stop, Ryan," she whispered. "If I release it now, you'll be caught in it too." Ryan looked over his shoulder, eyes determined. "If that's what it takes to save you, I'll take the risk." Her voice cracked. "Why do you care so much?" "Because no one cared about you before," he said. "And that's not right." For a long second they just looked at each other, human and alien, 2 beings from different worlds connected by something unspoken. Then Lyra closed her eyes. "Step back." Ryan hesitated. "Lyra, please," she whispered. "Trust me." He nodded and moved behind the rock. The air around Lyra began to hum. Her body glowed brighter than before, light spilling out like liquid fire. The symbols from her world appeared again, swirling around her in patterns of blue and white. The hunters stopped firing. Some backed away, shouting into their helmets. The leader raised his weapon and screamed, "Contain her! Now!" But it was too late. Lyra opened her eyes, now shining like twin stars. "You wanted my power," she said, her voice echoing across the moon. "Now face it." A massive wave of light burst from her body, spreading outward in a perfect circle. It washed over the battlefield, turning dust into glass, metal into fire. The hunter ships exploded one by one, swallowed by the brightness. Ryan shielded his eyes as heat and wind tore through the cave. When the light finally faded, silence fell again. The ground was scorched, the sky clear. Every hunter ship was gone, but Lyra was on her knees, motionless, her glow fading fast. Ryan ran to her, dropping beside her in the dust. "Lyra," he shouted. Her breathing was weak. "I told you," she whispered. "The light takes as much as it gives." "No," Ryan said, his voice shaking. "Stay with me. You can't just—" She smiled faintly, her hand trembling as she touched his face. "You're crying," she said softly. "Humans still surprise me." Ryan gripped her hand. "You saved me. You saved both of us." Her silver eyes dimmed. "Maybe I just wanted someone to see me." Tears rolled down his cheeks. "I see you, Lyra. I always did." For a moment her lips curved into the smallest smile. "Then, maybe the light will see you too." Her body glowed one last time, a faint, gentle pulse that spread warmth through the cold air. And then she went still. Ryan sat there for a long time, holding her hand, the silence of the dead moon wrapping around him. He looked at the stars above, whispering, "You were never worth $2, you were priceless." Far in the distance, one of the shattered hunter ships sent out a weak signal, transmitting data to someone far away. A new voice crackled through the static. "Target lost, but the light has awakened again." Ryan didn't hear it. He was staring at the sky, unaware that what Lyra unleashed had been felt across galaxies, and somewhere in that endless darkness, her light still shimmered, refusing to die. The broken moon was quiet now. Dust floated through the pale light of dawn, and Ryan sat beside Lyra's still body, motionless. He hadn't moved in hours. The stars above had faded, leaving only the soft gray glow of morning. The once dead surface was now scarred with marks of battle. Craters melted into glass, black smoke rising from what used to be hunter ships. Ryan's face was covered with dirt and ash. His eyes were red, but not from the smoke. He gently brushed Lyra's white hair away from her face. She looked peaceful, almost asleep. "You didn't just save me," he whispered. "You saved everyone who will never know your name." As he spoke, a faint flicker of light passed through her hand. Ryan froze. For a moment he thought he imagined it, but then the light moved again, slow, soft, alive. "Lyra," he whispered. Her body glowed faintly, and a voice, not loud, not physical, echoed inside his mind. "Don't cry, human." Ryan looked around, his breath catching. "Lyra?" Her voice was gentle now, like wind through glass. "The light never dies, Ryan, it only changes form." He stared at her glowing body, his heart pounding. "Where are you?" "I'm here," she said softly. "In the ship, in the air, in you. The light bonded with your life when you refused to leave me. I'm part of you now." Ryan shook his head, tears falling. "No, you deserve your own life," she replied, her tone calm and warm. "You gave me freedom, Ryan. Maybe that's what life truly means." The light around her body lifted, forming soft, floating shapes, symbols from her world, glowing blue and white. They danced in the air, surrounding Ryan in a soft circle. As he stood, the ground beneath him pulsed faintly with the same glow. The light spread through the rocks, through the dust, through the empty moon itself. It was as if the world was waking up. Ryan looked down at his hands and saw the same glow under his skin. "What's happening?" Lyra's voice echoed again. "My power couldn't die, so it found balance. You carry it now. You're the keeper of the light." He felt warmth spread through his chest, not burning, not painful, just powerful. His vision filled with flashes of memory that weren't his own. Tall alien cities glowing in twilight, oceans of crystal, her people singing to the stars. He saw Nyra, the home she lost, and felt her sadness, her love, her strength. When the vision faded, he whispered, "I understand now." The air shimmered, and her faint figure appeared before him, a ghost made of light. Lyra smiled softly. "Then use it well. Don't let them destroy what's left." Ryan nodded, his voice quiet but sure. "I'll protect the light, Lyra, I promise." She stepped closer, her form flickering like a candle. "Promise me something else," she said. "Don't let your heart turn into what you fight against." "I won't," he said. Her hand, made of glowing mist, touched his cheek one last time. "Goodbye, Ryan, or maybe not goodbye. The light always finds its way back." With that, her form faded into the air, dissolving into thousands of tiny stars that rose toward the sky. The glow spread across the horizon like dawn breaking for the first time in centuries. Ryan stood alone, his body glowing faintly, feeling her warmth still inside him. The hunters were gone, but he knew others would come. Her power was too strong, too valuable, too dangerous for greedy hands to ignore. He turned toward his ship, the wind brushing against his face. "Let them come," he said softly. "This time they'll find more than just one light." As he stepped inside, the ship's console flickered. A small holographic display appeared. A message from the Galactic Council. They had detected a massive energy surge across several star systems. They wanted answers. Ryan smiled faintly. "Then they'll get them," he whispered. From the last guardian of Nira. The engines roared to life, glowing blue instead of gold, the same color as Lyra's eyes. The ship lifted slowly from the moon's surface, rising into the pale sky. From space, the dead moon no longer looked gray. It shimmered with faint light, as if Lyra's soul had woven itself into the rock. A new star was born in the system that night, small but bright, named later by explorers as Lyra's Rest. And as Ryan's ship disappeared into the horizon, one thing became clear to every being who felt that pulse of light. The legacy of the alien girl sold for $2 had just begun. Because sometimes, it takes one human's choice to keep a galaxy's hope alive.